good day to you everyone. This is Adam from FWCI Collector's Edition, and today I'm going to be reviewing my first ever Hot Toys. Just to round out the whole experience, I had to get my brand new Captain Carter some kind of vehicle to ride on the back of, so I picked up the Hydra Stomper as well. I did not get the Steve Rogers, little baby Steve Rogers that goes in the Hydra Stomper. I don't want you Steve Rogers. I like Captain Carter. She was my favorite part of What If, and I love the What If series. I genuinely was keen for season 2, which was not quite as good, but give me Captain Carter any day of the week, and she was the perfect first Hot Toys for me to get. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. That's the current goal. But let's talk about Captain Carter. I've got her right here. She's a big girl. She's a big old big girl. Those that aren't aware, this is roughly what the size of a Hot Toys action figure is. As far as I can tell, this is my only one, and this is how big it is. So my first impressions unboxed is that this is an absolute beautiful piece of work. It's a piece of art, really, more so than an action figure. The fact that this is based on a cartoon, it really allowed them to perfect the face. And the face looks absolutely perfect. I know with the real life face scans and stuff, sometimes it gets a little bit funny, but this is the exact Captain Carter that I know and love from the What If TV series. And my first impression unboxed of the Hydra Stomper is it's huge. It is so big. It looks exactly like the source material, which again is a lot easier to do with like things that are cartoonish in origin. But first impressions of it, I was just blown away by the size of this thing. Looking at the accessories, the Hydra Stomper doesn't come with a great deal. I guess they include the thing on the back as an accessory, but it's all kind of a part of the greater makeup of the armor and everything like that. But he does come with a very, very specifically designed flight stand. The way this thing is cut, it fits exactly the spot right in the crotch area. You apply it by pulling the belt area off the middle. There's a hole in there. The flight stand kind of plugs in, and once you've got this thing balanced, it's perfect. I had left it on display over the summer period. Didn't have any issues with it at all. It just stayed in perfect harmony and balance, even with Cap Carter riding on the back. So the stand that they put with this, it looks like it's fairly basic, but it's perfectly designed and it absolutely does the job. Looking at Cap Carter's accessories, she comes with 7 different hands. There's some open hands, there's some fisted hands, there's some gripping hands, but then there's one specifically for the pistol, and one of the gripping hands is specifically for the sword. I think they might, do they both go to the sword? Hang on. Yeah, one of the gripping hands fits the sword. Speaking of swords, she comes with a sword. From the very end part of that What If episode where she pushes the tentacle monster back into the portal and then gets sucked into the thing, and then Nick Fury and Hawkeye are standing there. Personally, I could take or leave the sword. It's a really beautiful item, to be completely honest. It's a great looking sword, but when I think Cap Carter, I don't think sword. I think shield, maybe a bit of gun. The gun she comes with looks great. It looks kind of like weathered and a little bit chipped, so the paintwork on it is pretty spot on, and obviously being a hot toy, it fits perfectly into the hand that it is designed for. We get Captain Carter's Union Jack shield, and I really like this shield. It actually buckles onto the arm as well. There are like actual buckles on the back. I'm not a huge fan of that. I wish they made an easier way, because it is quite fiddly, especially with these big old, meat paws. Sometimes it's a bit hard to sort of take it on or off, but the design of it looks good. The paint on it looks great. It's kind of like a metallic matte finish, which I really like. She also has a replaceable hair, so the back of it sort of unplugs and you just put in the other one. We've got the hair that's kind of down towards her shoulders, and then we've got another one that's more floating back, perfect for when she's on the Hydra Stomper, or even if you just want it to look like she's standing there with the wind gushing behind her. There's also a tiny little brown clip if you do want to pose her with the shield on the apparatus, like her strapping that goes around there. There's a way to do that. It's not the most stable, but if it's just for a pose, that'd be great. I do wish there was a more secure way to equip the shield to the back, but it's honestly a minor thing. And lastly, she comes with a stand with a crotch grabber. They're very interesting stands. The crotch grabber kind of slides up and down. Hey, now we're cooking. And there's perfect amount of room for her to stand on there as well. You can kind of get her in a bit of a running pose and stuff like that using this stand, and I kind of like it. sometimes it feels like it's a little bit flimsy, but I've been able to get some decent poses using that stand, and they stayed like that, so I'm happy. All right, looking at the paintwork here, really with Captain Carter, the only paintwork is on the boots, on the straps, what do you call those things? Straps, right? Oh no, straps. On the belt and on the face. The face is absolutely perfect. The hair looks great, even with the line where the different part joins in. It all looks, you know, very consistent and very cool. And all the buckles are pretty good. The buckles on the very bottom of mine, there's like a tiny little slight imperfection. It is very, very slight though. A lot of attention to detail has been put into this figure, and it really, really shows. Now the Hydra Stomper's paintwork is pretty good. It's pretty immaculate. It's quite simple as well, but it has a bunch of weathering on it. You've got some different military stamps and stuff like that. There's nothing too sort of distinctive, I guess, to make it so is there a shield logo on there or anything? I don't think there is. Nothing that really distinguishes it as like a Marvel thing, other than the fact it looks exactly like giant Iron Man. But all the lines are clean. There is no issue with the paintwork on Hydra Stomper either. And like I say, it's very simple, but there's no mistakes. Okay, we're going to talk about the articulation. Let's start with Captain Carter. And what I like about Hot Toys, they give you this little book that tells you what the articulation on the figure is going to be. I'm not going to lie, I had already been posing this for a bunch of months before I found this, but let's go through this book here, because yes, it tells us to pop the hair off and on. We've already talked about that. Arm movement, 90 degrees forward, 90 degrees out, and 90 degrees at the elbow. By my calculation, that means there is not a double jointed elbow on a Hot Toy. Wow. I can get it way more than 90. I don't know. What do you think about that? That looks a lot more than 90 to me. She also has leg movement of 70 degrees forward and at the split as well. The legs do feel... I'm apprehensive to do much with the legs because I don't want to break them, and I do get quite ambitious with my posing, but it does say that this can go all the way back there, so pretty good, pretty good. The hands pop off quite easily, and it does come with a bunch of spare pegs for the hands, so I guess they have a habit of breaking maybe over time, but they pop on and off quite easy. It's a little bit finicky trying to get the shield on the arm, but like I say, have a crack, see how you go. It does feel like there's a thigh cut and a bit of a boot cut. There's definitely some sort of articulation there. Hang on, there is a shoulder cut as well. What else have we got? In the middle, there's a bit of ab crunching activity there. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. Goes backwards as well, but I don't know. I don't think I need to get that much articulation out of my Captain Carter. A nice power pose with a shield will do me. Now let's talk about the Hydra Stomper, because this is where the articulation gets a little bit interesting. And the reason for that is, I believe they call this a power pose. There is no articulation other than in the arms and in the head, and then some bibs and bobs on the armor as well. But other than that, there's no articulation in the torso, there's no articulation in the legs or the feet or anything like that at all. So it is very limited. With that being said, they've done a great job of putting it in a pose that looks good in flight and very secure while standing. And this thing is big. There's very big like parts of armor on the arms and stuff like that. I don't think I would want this to have articulation in the legs, because I feel like it would fall. It's just such a top-heavy kind of design. And if I'm going to spend Hot Toys money on something, then I sure as hell don't want it just falling over because it has like a dodgy knee joint or something like that. And like I say, for me, the Hydra Stomper is just a glorified diorama. It's a glorified accessory. I got it because I love Captain Carter, and I just love the visual of her on the back of the Hydra Stomper in flight. You know, that was just such a great moment from What If. There is quite a bit of articulation in the head and in the arms as well, to be honest. The fingers are completely articulated, but outside of that, it's fairly limited in terms of what you can sort of get out of it in terms of like storytelling with your poses and stuff like that. He is very limited. I'm not going to say he's not, but if you're a Captain Carter fan like I am, then it's just a means to an end. Let's get on the Hydra Stomper and go to our next adventure. Now this one should be interesting. It's time for the Tarantino test.
Tarantino test.
The Tarantino test is where I have a look at the feet of the figure specifically to let you know if I think it's got a good base for posing and dynamic poses and a good foundation, stuff like that. And I don't know, this is a really interesting one because first of all, Captain Carter's boots, as much as I love the character, but as soon as it becomes an action figure, these boots are absolute dog shit. They have a heel. They then have this like leather thing that hangs over there, which always affects the articulation. And because this is to scale to like, you know, regular size human beings, even though it's a cartoon, the feet are to scale as well. So they're actually quite small. You can get it to stand up like pretty easily. You gonna stand up for me there? Not a fan of the feet on these figures, and it's no fault of the design or anything like that. It's just being true to the source material. But it is always the never-ending struggle of how do we get the feet to look not huge, but also make them big enough to the point where you can actually stand them up properly as well. So it's an unfortunate thumbs down on the Tarantino test for Captain Carter because I would love this figure to be perfect in every single way, but the crotch grabber does its job and will keep her in whatever pose you probably want. You can risk it and you can stand her up without it, but I wouldn't personally. And with that being said, we're just going to pop her on the Hydra Stomper anyway, so we're good.
Tarantino test.
Hey, there's another Tarantino test. The Hydra Stomper Tarantino test. It's a pass, I guess. You can't really not stand it up securely. It's kind of designed specifically for that way. Even though there's no articulation, like I say, what am I going to do? Have the Hydra Stomper in like the Spider-Man pose? And I've seen a lot of complaints about the fact that the legs are not articulated, but really it's the Hydra Stomper. Are you having him jump hurdles? Are you having the Hydra Stomper, you know, play the guitar with his own leg? Like, no, you're gonna have him either like ready to fight or in flight. Either way, you're covered. So Tarantino says thumbs up to you, Hydra Stomper.
Tarantino test.
So my final thoughts on these Hot Toys Captain Carter and Hydra Stomper is I'm really, really happy that I purchased these. They, like I say, they're my first Hot Toys. I didn't know what to get. It's kind of like you want your first one to be special. I didn't want to just go out and get like whatever. I wanted to get something that really meant something to me. And Captain Carter's a character that I'm here for. I think she's great. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Multiverse of Madness. I wasn't impressed with how that whole fiasco went, but actually I was. I loved that movie, and even though she got cut in half, it didn't bother me. So as a Captain Carter fan, I'm 100% satisfied with this. Very pricey. What was it? Somewhere around the $350 Aussie dollary dues mark. I got from Pop Culture, and I got the Hydra Stomper from Pop Culture as well on a discount sale. I think it was like Boxing Day sale or something like that. 20% off, and it was up there. So I think he was probably about 400 after the discount. So it was pretty pricey. It was very pricey, but if you're into it and you enjoy these characters, then I say, why not? Shelf worthy? Yes. There's no way in hell I'm putting either of these things back in the box after spending that kind of money. You better believe it's on the bloody shelf. In fact, it's coffee table worthy because I had to clear an entire coffee table so that I could set it up on the flight stand and have like some nice stuff there. Set up some barrier around there so the cats don't jump up and knock it over in the middle of the night. Definitely shelf worthy. If you are ever going to get a Hot Toys, always have a space for it in your mind at the time of purchase. Thanks for checking this video out. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers, and let me know your favorite Hot Toys figure that you have, or maybe it's one that you want. What's your favorite one of the whole line? Give me all the Hot Toys goss down in the comments, because I want to hear what you experts have to say, so that if we open up more Hot Toys in the future, I can drop some knowledge on the noobs who are watching that one for the first time, and they won't have to watch this video where I barely sound like I know what the fuck I'm talking about. As always, everyone, be well, stay safe, look after your figs. See you in the next video. Peace.